I heard you wanna chat with your girl, chat with your girl, chat with your girl, chat. Business and beauty, come and confess how you make your money and say yes to the gas.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so excited. We have a South Asian beauty entrepreneur, YouTuber, mega superstar influencer, the CEO of Live Tinted, which focuses on inclusive, diverse beauty and all around badass business woman, my friend, Deepica Mutyala. Hello.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here.
Girl, I'm so glad that I got to catch you. You are like a businesswoman, fly just zooming coast to coast, making money, inspiring millions of people, running a beauty brand. It's so funny. I saw this comment the other day on your social media. Recently, you hosted the Brown Girl Met Gala, the Diwali Met Gala.
That was like the ultimate compliment, by the way. Oh my God. It did feel that way. It was pretty surreal. I was like pinching myself the whole time.
I'm so excited to have you. We have been friends for years. If you guys remember a tutorial I did with this brown beauty, Deepica and we did a video back in 2016, and she literally co-signed for me to promote this Indian bridal makeup tutorial. And I remember I was so nervous, and you're like, no, do it. Like, you're doing it. Like, our culture just loves being celebrated. And I was like, are you sure? I don't want it to look like appropriation. And you're like, no. And then it just became like a huge hit. And then we got to do one for your channel for the Diwali festival. I was so touched and honored of how passionate you were with beauty and celebrating culture. And now you've brought all of that into commerce some way under your brand.
Yeah, I mean, I always said if I ever started a brand, I didn't want it. And I know you feel the exact same way with everything you're building. It wasn't just about the product. It's about the mission, the purpose, and doing something greater for the world. And I feel like it's as hard as we're working, it's what makes us wake up and just enjoy it and love it and keep going, because it's not just about us. It's about the bigger, greater purpose of it all, you know?
Mm-hmm. I know you have been so busy, but can you tell everyone listening about your brand, and then how this Diwali Live Tinted party hosted by Mindy Kaling? I was tapping through your stories and I was like, holy shit, no way. What the fuck? Is this real? And then I went to theirs and they're posting and I'm like, Deepica, I'm blinking and you're like superstar with literally royalty. So crazy.
It was so crazy, Patrick. I feel like in my wildest dreams, I wanted to have that happen, and the kind of unity and the genuine support that, to be honest, I didn't know. You never know, right? This industry is wild, but it was real. Nobody was worried about phones or videos and being stressed about what they were saying. It was about being in that moment and talking to each other and really doing it. But taking a step back before we get into the Indian Met Gala situation, it's so cool to be in this industry and meet people like you, where you're kind of going through the same thing, but have different stories. Because whenever I hear your story, I feel like I hear layers of similar situations, because I grew up in Texas, which is where I am now, in Houston. And I saw one very specific standard of beauty as it related to who was considered cool in school. I actually was surrounded by a lot of Indian people, but I feel like we were the smart kids and we were the ones going to be a doctor and a lawyer. And I always knew I wanted to do something different. I felt it in me. I knew it was in my bones and my blood. I was destined to do it. At 16, I told my dad, who's very Indian and very much wanted me to be a doctor, that I wanted to start my own beauty brand. So everything I did from that point onwards was to build what I've done now, Live Tinted. And it all goes back to going down the makeup aisles and never seeing ourselves represented, and which I know you can totally relate to. And I did everything I could. It wasn't this just happened. It was when I was in college. I was a marketing major and my first internship was at L'Oreal. And my path and dream was work at L'Oreal, be a brand manager, go to Harvard Business School, make my Indian dad happy, and then start my brand. But then it didn't go that way because life doesn't go as planned. And I didn't get the full-time offer after I interned at L'Oreal. They told me I wasn't a strong enough marketer, LOL. And then in whatever random path, I ended up at a beauty startup called Birchbox. And it was one of my first jobs out of college. And at the time they were the hottest beauty startup in the game. And I got to learn so much about the beauty industry and what it's like to build your own brand. And while I was there was when I had a video go viral on YouTube using red lipstick under my eyes to mask dark circles. That video changed my entire life. It was surreal. It was so crazy. I remember the Today Show asked me to come on to do the segment on air. And I quit my job when I got that email because I just had this like, it's like it could be a cool 15 minutes of fame and you move on with your life, or you can kind of spin it into your dream career. And that's what I did. I quit and I became a full-time beauty influencer, which was like, I didn't even know what that meant. Michelle Phan was popping then and a few others, but like, it was so new. And I was in New York and you were in LA. And I remember we met at a like Katy Perry cover girl event happening in New York City. And I just introduced myself because I just was like, I felt good vibes from you, and you never know, again, like we said, you never know in this industry. But I felt good vibes from you, and I just wanted to meet other people that were people of color, to be honest. That's what it was. And so I felt a connection from you with that since that day. And I remember I was so honored and grateful because I was such a small YouTuber at the time and you were already a really big deal. And I remember you were like, we should do a collab. And I was just like, I was fully faking it till I made it. I was like, oh my God, wait. I was like, yeah, we should totally do a collab. Like casual. I was so excited. Like that was such a great moment for me. And like, at that time too, it was like all about how do you grow your channel and the freak out over numbers and like, oh my God, like, and I don't know, I was just figuring it out as I was going. And you were so concerned about, is it okay if we did an Indian bridal tutorial? Is it okay if we do the Diwali makeup look? And I was like, what are you talking about? Brown people will die to see Patrick Starr celebrate the culture. And I know you have a big Indian following, so it meant the world. And all the comments, relatively were really, really positive. And it was a big deal for me. And I really appreciated the support. And I knew you were going to just be an OG day one, good one. You meet a lot of different kinds of people in this world, but I really appreciated that because the grind was real. And I remember you said it, you're like, we have to stick together. Like you were saying how you were doing the turban thing on your head and you were doing your own thing that felt unique to you. And I feel like there's been plenty of times in this industry that as much as I knew I wanted to stay true to who I was, there's definitely been times that I wanted to like the same girl from high school. Like I've talked to my therapist about this so much, like the same girl from high school who wanted to fit in. I found myself wanting to do that in this beauty influencer world. And, like the full face makeup, like that was what was working then, right? Like that is, you're incredible at it, but that wasn't me. Like I was never that girl. I was always the beauty hack girl. Like how do you take one product and use it in random ass ways to simplify your beauty routine? And I always felt like insecure that unless I tried to become like the slay, like model vibe, that like I would never grow. And luckily, thank God, finally found confidence in myself through time, just growing up, being, keeping my family close to chart my own path. And I stuck to it. And I really wanted to focus on my identity and culture and spotlighting that with my own brand and not make my brand about that makeup look, because that's not who I am. It would be the same as if you tried to say like your brand was the exact opposite, right? And it would it wouldn't be genuine to who you are. And so basically after doing the beauty influencer thing for 3 years and being so fortunate to be in so many dream campaigns like MAC, which I know is so huge for you. It all felt like I did what I was supposed to do in that role. And it was time for other South Asian women to be able to get that opportunity. And I always knew that I wanted to create a brand. And it was always the goal, literally since I was 16. But what I didn't realize was that I would start it first as a community platform. I wanted to almost create an editorial outlet that was by and for people of color, discussing things that nobody at that time, this is 2017, was talking about, like colorism, facial hair, like things that like we struggled with that like I didn't see mainstream media discussing. And so that's what we did. We just started, and I just started to post different faces I felt like we never saw in this industry. And it just organically started to grow. And I genuinely feel like my passion is more in that than the actual products itself. And to me, the products are the vehicle to have the conversation, but it's all about the storytelling of people like us who never had that opportunity, exactly like you're doing here with this podcast, right? Like that's what I want with every aspect of Live Tinted, to be a brand that celebrates culture, identity, and telling our story.
I love that. You know, it's so funny when I look at Deepica and when I like am around you, I'm like, this is just I see, even though I look nothing or act nothing, I'm like, there's something in there. I'm like, she fucking gets me. Like, Deepica gets me. Like, we're both brown, we're both millennials. But what's so funny about being a brown millennial is that I think coming from a generation of boomers, we have to be great, but within the lines. Like, be amazing, but within the lines. So where does that it's so funny just seeing even your parents opening up my PR package that first launch and celebrating you. I'm like, I started to see like a shift of them like, oh, my daughter has it. Like, but I'm sure it wasn't always like that because you were they, in their eyes, you were destined for something else and what they thought was for them, which is what was also destined for you in terms of like a certain path. So where did you get the strength in terms of being rebellious and swimming against the grain? Like, where does your strength or inspiration for strength come from?
If I really think about it, I think when I think about both of my parents, there's my mom and my dad. My dad is the one who provided for our family our whole lives, worked the overnight shifts, did the very traditional path, grinded his ass off so his daughter could get that stupid Abercrombie and Fitch shirt just to fit in. And I'm like so annoyed with myself for being that girl. But what I learned from my father was the importance and the necessity to work your butt off. Like, hard work was not an option. And that's what I learned from him. My mom, she was always a savvy businesswoman. She didn't do the traditional path. She was the one out here, like, she did the traditional job, but it wasn't for her. So she went and opened up a restaurant in Houston, Texas. And, you know, it caused a lot of tension in our family because my dad was like, what are you even doing? It failed, by the way. And this is the first time I've ever said this because I feel like it's personal to my mom, but it failed. But I think seeing my mom be that badass who was like doing it. And you know what? My dad, even though he was terrified, and it caused a lot of fights in the family, he still did support it. He didn't stop her. And by the way, a lot of Indian fathers and uncles and that culture will just put their foot down and say, that's not happening. And he didn't do that. My mom went and did it and it failed. It was called Padma's Eatery. It was her name. And then after that, we moved to a different city and she got a job at a hospital where she was running it. And then that hospital shut down. And so we moved back to Houston. There was a lot of that, but it was my mom always taking those risks. And so it's so fascinating because when I quit my job to become a beauty influencer, because I had a video go viral, like, what's that even mean? Like, you know, like, I get why as a parent, you're like, you're doing what? And because I had no idea how I was going to pay my bills. Like, what, like, none, I don't think any of us got what was even happening. But what I remember is my mom is hands down my number one supporter. Even if I did the most terrible thing in the world, she respects the hustle of wanting to do things different. On her Instagram bio, it says, do whatever it takes. And I remember seeing, she set that up by herself. And I remember seeing that and being like, I never even realized this, but you are the reason I feel confident enough to just go do whatever it takes. Now, on the flip side, my dad, when I quit my job, I didn't tell anybody because I was scared and I just wanted to go home for a weekend. I was living in New York at the time. And I went home and my dad was like watching Indian movies, whatever. I went into the study and I remember my dad handed me a check. And, you know, even just hearing that, I know it sounds like what a privilege, but at that time in my life, seeing my dad do that, and his exact words were, don't think of this as me giving my daughter money, but giving this as an investment to a business I believe in. I mean, it shook me. I didn't even need the check. Yeah, I tore up the check. It wasn't about the check, you know, like it wasn't about the check. It was about hearing my immigrant father, who was terrified to his bones about me quitting my job and going to do what I was doing, but he supported it and he let me do it. And so so I think they were always scared, but they always let me still do it. And I know that I'm very lucky to say that because a lot of people can't do that, but I proudly show my parents online because I hope that it not only encourages other people to be proud of their parents, but hopefully sets an example to future parents that have to change.
That was literally my next question because like I didn't see much of a shift until I started showing my family, because not only was I quote unquote an inspiration to people that were watching me early on in like 2016 and 17, but once I showed and started incorporating my family, like my mom, I named some products after her in my first MAC cosmetic launch, and she was in the campaign. People were like, wow, I'm gay, but I don't have this type of support. You know, I will never have this type of support. But then they sought refuge and aspiration and inspiration on my channel through my parents, and my mom has a little bit of a following as well. So do you think it's kind of like the same for you? Like, hey, like there are other brown girls out there that probably will never have the same amount of support from their parents. But do you think that people are living through your lens and your social media with your parents being so proud? I saw your post today about your uncle wanting to set up to play cards, was it, at your place because your apartment is so decorated so nicely, and your dad, and they asked for the keys.
Every time I go out of town, literally like tomorrow, my dad asks for my apartment keys. He feels like it's like his little getaway. It makes me happy because I'm not here often. But yeah, my videos featuring my parents are the ones that go viral. They always get 1 million+ views. And like E! News covered it the other day. I was like, what is happening? It was like Kim K, Jennifer Lawrence, and then Mama and Papa Bundu. But I think I know it makes no sense. But I think what's so cool about that is that it shows that the algorithm, you know how it works. Like the algorithm is prioritizing those videos because the world needs and wants it. Like they want to see Mama Star and you proudly naming your products after her. And they want to see the immigrant story that we didn't have growing up shine, which is so dope, right? Like the fact that we do that and we feel proud of that is something I was so embarrassed as a kid. I was scared to bring friends over because my house smelled like curry. I was so scared to have my mom meet the other moms because she had a heavy Indian accent. And now I'm like, we are so lucky to have a culture behind us that is so rich in culture and beautiful and vibrant. And definitely, I can speak for myself, like it bleeds into how I build my brand. I want that in it. And by the way, I just have to say, like, you know, there's been periods where we haven't seen each other, but whenever I see you launch your collections and see your parents so close to you and, you know, Peter by your side at all times, you keep your brothers right next to you. Like, it's like what I think keeps us both so grounded in this industry that can make you go super crazy and superficial and focus on all the wrong things. I feel like every time I see your launches and see how close you keep your family, it's just proof that that is the most important thing, to keep your head leveled and grounded and not get lost in the sauce.
Yeah, it's so crazy to see that, incorporating that, because I can imagine millions of other Indian followers that you have and brown girls and boys that are watching, like, oh my gosh, like I don't have that. But looking to you, you're a badass, you're doing it, you're swimming against the grain, and to then be next to all these superstars celebrating your brand party hosted by Mindy was so cool. And to have superstars like Liza Koshy and Priyanka Chopra, Lily Singh, and so many other queens, it's just like, oh my gosh. Like, well, can you tell us what your parents said about that party, by the way? Because I felt like it was your Cinderella moment, and the whole week I was like, I was screaming when I think I saw you like snap getting ready, and then the next thing was just like the party, and I was like, I was like, I want to fucking FaceTime and call, but I was like, I'm gonna see her later in the next couple of weeks for the podcast. I was screaming in my bed. I was like, holy shit. And then it was just like the group pictures. It was kind of like the brown version of like the Oscars group photo with Ellen and everybody. And I was like, Deepica must be dying. I can't even imagine what your family, your cousins, your extended family must think of, like, what the hell is going on.
Ex-boyfriends. Yeah, it was great. It felt amazing. It felt amazing. I'm so proud of that because, yeah, there is this sense of only one of us can win, the scarcity mentality, tokenism in this industry that I really wanted to shift. And I felt like I had so many incredible South Asian women that were supporting me in my career, all independently. And I know that the mentality is we all want to like get into a room and actually have dinner and create seats for ourselves that were never created for us. And I know that's everyone's mentality, but I really think that after the pandemic, was when everyone really realized that, you know what, like life is too short. We're all here for a purpose. We have a greater purpose than ourselves. And we need to show the next generation that we are stronger together. And that really was the mentality. I'm telling you, there was no egos. Every single person you just named had no issue being there and not being spotlighted more than the other. And my heart was so full because I had no idea how it was going to play out. I hadn't met Priyanka till that day. I knew basically everybody else independently. She sat down and gave me all this advice on launching in India. No ego at all. Her and Mindy are genuine, real friends. Like, it's real. They support each other. I asked Mindy how she deals with the heat of all of it. She says, I call Priyanka. I talk to her. They talk on the phone. They support each other. I mean, it was like my soul was so full. And I'm very proud that Live Tinted and my friend Mina's brand, Phenomenal. We always wanted our brands to stand for something bigger. Like, I want to shift culture. I want it to be like a revolution. I want it to be that like brown people everywhere see that, damn, we're not competing. We actually are coming together. And that's exactly what happened. And it's the first of many. We all said it. We're like, we're going to keep doing it and doing it bigger every single year. And, you came to my holy party right before the pandemic. We're going to do it again this year and it's going to be bigger. Like, I want it to be like the Coachella of holy
That was freaking fabulous. So for those listening, Deepica hosted a Live Tinted holy party and it said wear white, right? We had to wear like some sort of white. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna wear my cute favorite jeans, wear me a cute brand new white bodysuit. And this bitch had all this color dyed powder and she is throwing it everywhere in slow motion. Like, it was, I don't know if you guys know, the Americans out there, there's something called color run, but for brown holy. Imagine this, just splashing powder. Love it. And we just and you were like, can I touch you? And I was like, frick yeah. And then you just got me so doused. All this dye and color. It was so fun.
You and Angel, you and Matt Gaddy. I was just like throwing it on y'all. I was like, celebrate us, celebrate this culture. And it was,
it's funny. I'm sure you thought that I wasn't into it because I was so far, but I was so far because I was grazing on all the snacks and desserts. And I was like obsessed with the food. I loved all the food, all the flowers, the smells. And then once my tummy was full, I saved up some energy to go and dance with you. And it was so fun and fabulous.
I genuinely mean this. Like, it felt so celebratory. You just embraced it. And I could not imagine that in my like wildest dreams that all these massive influencers in LA would get together and celebrate Holi. I mean, it's a moment for this culture that, like, again, I was so embarrassed of this growing up, and to see that happen, it's a really big deal. So yeah, I want to do it bigger every single year and get more people involved. Like, I want to have like it be like a festival, and to me, I get excited about that. Like the product launches, which are so incredible, and I put my heart and soul into those too. But I see your campaigns, and I see the artistry and the direction you put behind it. And it's a story. It's not just about the product launches, which I know both of us, like, we make sure our products are dope as hell, but we don't want to just put it out there with a photo. It has to have a story behind it.
Right. I was going to say earlier, one thing that I found growing up in this industry was like always seeking validation. And I feel like that it'll forever be engraved in like everybody's come up is like, who's going to validate me? Is it going to be a verification blue check on my Twitter or Instagram? How am I going to get verified? Is this brand going to work with me or want to pay with me? Where I think in this industry and being on social media, we're constantly seeking validation from someone bigger, someone better. Is it an outlet like E-News? Is it a celebrity to notice me? I was getting all of that, whether it was Mac or me doing Kim Kardashian's makeup or being posted in People magazine. I was like, wow, all this validation. But to get there, before others believe in you and validate you, you have to believe in yourself. Like, what do you do to keep that belief and that light alive in you? Do you pray? Do you gratitude every morning? Do you journal? Like, what is, if I was to wake up with Deepica and her top knot and her jammies, like, what do you do from day to night that allows you to believe in yourself and continue to wake up the next day and work and grind?
Yeah. And I'll be the first one to admit that, like, I don't feel like I take enough time to just soak in. Like, after that party happened, Mariana Hewitt, she texted me and she was just like, I hope you actually take the time to understand how incredible it is that we made this dinner happen. And I really did for the first time. I like sat on a Friday night and I just like was sitting there and I had actual tears in my eyes. And, you know, I feel like I've sacrificed a lot in my personal life. It virtually doesn't exist. And it is moments like that you feel like I saw random TikToks from like 16-year-old girls just being like, is this real? What is happening? And it's like, I just remembered 16-year-old Deepica. And it's like, those really is what like keeps me going more than anything. But I will be honest with you and say that like when I wake up, do I have like words of affirmation? Do I constantly journal? No, like I have here life where I'm like every single day doing it, and then I travel and then it's hard to keep up with it. And I think I'm better about appreciating it when I'm around my closest friends and family. And that to me is really when I get to like take a step back and remind myself, Deepica, do not get lost in the sauce. Yes, you got all the things you just named, right? Like whatever my versions of those are of like, wow, I got invited to do this. Kim posted our products and like the blah, blah, blah. And whatever. Once all that stuff happens, like, do you hit a point of happiness? Like, no, like, I think I told you this when like we personally were hanging out, but I left New York because my biggest dream was to host the Met Gala red carpet for the Today Show. And I made that shit happen for myself. It took hustle. It took grind. It took me like faking it till I made it. And I just went and I was like convincing them that I was the person that should do it. And I did it. And I went home that night and I cried, and it wasn't happy tears. It was like, wait, I had this like high life goal expectation of what I wanted out of my New York years. And I just did it tonight. And I felt so empty inside. I felt like who were my friends? Like, where is my family? Who's my partner in life? There was just so much I had to work on myself. I hadn't started therapy at that age yet. And so I think what you do realize when you do hit all these accolades and these like goals is none of that shit matters if you're not happy with yourself ever, like that period. And I think what does help me be happy with myself is it's not the validation from the celebrity. It's that girl on TikTok who is posting in tears being like, I cannot believe that this group of brown women are coming together and celebrating each other. And now I'm like, you know what, Deepica, maybe your brand isn't going to hit the revenue goal that you dreamt of this year, but you did something that like forever is going to be remembered. And that is honestly what excites me. And I'm just so proud of.
I think a lot of people need to take away from, you know, this conversation is like believing in yourself and celebrating anything big or small, just getting through the day, getting a 5-minute nap, being able to afford a flight to fly somewhere, even getting up and posting a picture. There's a lot in social media that's going on that I don't know how anyone can manage or handle, you know, with everything that's new, such as TikTok. Because back in the day, I was telling a friend, I was like, girl, we would post one picture on Instagram. We would post Snapchats, which kind of gave a snapshot of our life on Snapchat. Then on YouTube, it was kind of like the long version of what they wanted. So those three in tandem had the synergy amongst each other that kind of would whore each other out. You know, Snapchat, see what we have, promote the video, and just one picture and just promote the YouTube video, and it's just boom. Now you got it all on Instagram, you got Facebook, you got Tickety Talks, and you got TikTok Lives, and there's just so freaking much.
And now I'm doing LinkedIn because I'm trying to recruit people for my company, and so it's like, let me add on, oh, by the way, outside of doing this influencer thing, there's a whole company that we're CEOs of.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think one thing that could be a whole nother podcast that I feel like I feel like you would understand, maybe not have perfected yet in terms of hiring and learning in a social media beauty business world is the word spelled TRUST. Trust. That is so hard because I feel like in the beauty community, I feel like you have to trust yourself, trust your gut, trusting other people, trusting a team, trusting just anybody, even if they're brand new. And I feel like a lot of influencers, they saw me and my team and they would be like, oh my God, Patrick, like I want an assistant. Like, I'm like, girl, it's going to take more than just having a vibe. You know, what do you actually want? So I think in terms of being a business person and a persona, the vibes are important. They are, and I'm not going to discredit them, but executing a job at hand with a role and a responsibility is also really important too. So what is your definition of the word trust?
That is such a good question. And like you said, I do think I'm still figuring it out. And I struggle with it because I'm terrified of cancel culture. I realize that as a CEO of a company, and this is something that I really learned and I'm still battling, is as an influencer, you are incentivized to be liked. Literally, there is a like button on an app that tells you the more likes you have, the more successful you are. As a CEO, you don't need to be liked, but you need to be respected. That tension, right? When you think about Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, I don't think that people don't say they're like the nicest people, but they're respected people. And I think when you're serving both roles and you're the person that's meant to be liked, but also the person that's meant to run a business and focus on a P&L and make sure that everything is happening and all the hires are in the right place, hit certain revenue goals. You have people who have chosen to build their careers with you. There are times where those come at odds. And it's like, sometimes you're not going to say the thing that makes you liked. And it freaks me out. And I'm so used to, I'm scared. I actually am scared that I will say the wrong thing. I'm a first-time CEO. I'm learning as I go. And yeah, I really am terrified of cancel culture. And I've had to I started an executive coach because I do have trust issues. I have trust issues with, you know, everyone besides my family. Luckily, I don't have that issue there. Like, they are the ones that, like, I will go to them. But the problem is I don't like to stress out my family. I feel like the more they stress out, the more it stresses me out, because I feel like they've carried a weight for me my whole life. And now I'm like, I don't want to be that burden, even though obviously they don't feel that way. I do. But then I don't know who else to trust. Like, first of all, like, boyfriends, forget about it. Like, I do not trust them in the intentions and all that stuff. And then when you think about layers of, you know, assistants, they get all your information and all this stuff, you know, NDAs are signed and everything, but I'm still really scared and I don't have the right answer for it. But I will say, after 3 to 5 years of doing this, I finally feel like I'm figuring it out and have a team that I am obsessed with. And it's taken a lot of trial and error. And it's taken a lot of, like, you know, you have to hire fast, fire fast, and that mentality, which is really hard for me, because again, it goes back to, like, being that person to do that is really tough, letting go of people. And I think we do a pretty good job about being real about it online as much as we can, that it is so much harder. Take whatever you think it is, how hard it is, and it's 10x harder. But it doesn't mean it's not impossible, right? Because if I can do it, you can do it, so can somebody else. But just go into it knowing the glitz and glam of a red carpet, the whole day of me, literally somebody's doing my makeup, not because, like, I'm being a diva, but because I'm triple tasking. I'm literally doing emails, taking an investor pitch, getting my makeup done, and trying to record a vlog for my YouTube channel all at once, and trying to do it all. And so now I've had to find ways, and I'm curious to hear what you think. Like, you really have to say, actually, I don't really need to vlog it. And I don't really, what I do need to do is get ready for this investor pitch. And I've kind of decided, you know, because we're online all the time, you feel like you have to put your life on blast all the time, but it's just not possible. So you have to pick and choose, get the right team around you, and create that trust. But know that it's going to take a lot of trial and error.
I think building trust is equivalent to time. So over time, like, you have to learn how to build it. And also too, I just thought about it just now in terms of, like, an analogy. Trust is like a muscle that you have to build, because if you put too much trust into something, you can break that trust and you can snap that muscle in half, and then you're weak, and then there's trauma, there's PTSD. You don't want to trust anybody because the next person is going to hurt you. You need time to heal, and that just delays the process. But I feel like in business, setting an expectation that's attached to a specific role and people meeting an expectation, because you are paying someone to do a certain job, whether that's an assistant, a vice president, a president of a brand, anyone that's listening that wants to learn how to build a team, setting an expectation is really important, and defining the role, further defining, like list out exactly what you need from this person, X, Y, and Z, point 2, point 3, point 4, like list everything out. And I feel like the more people know and what's expected of each other, and also feedback, I feel like those are like few of the high level steps on how to build trust with another person. Because the thing is, it's not like a calculator where the calculator won't talk back. You know that calculator is going to do its job. But if you need someone to compute or calculate a business for you, there's feelings, there's likes involved, like you said. I like what you said about that earlier too. What you said about, they may be the nice, not the most liked and respected, but not the nicest. And I never thought of it that way.
Do you feel like you struggle with that? Like, I know what I think is so, and also like, is it hard working with your family? Like, because there's the most trust possible by working with your family, but it's also scary. Like, and so I'm curious how, because I remember when I worked at Birchbox too, they hired a ton of their friends, and it's like, duh, you want to work with your friends and you want to all come up together and you want to succeed together. But then also, is it like hard to give feedback?
Feedback isn't hard, because if they don't meet the expectation, or if they go above and beyond the expectation that was already outlined in the beginning. So you either reprimand a person for not meeting it. Hey, you were supposed to do X, Y, and Z, but you only did A, B, and C. You're supposed to get to the Z from the A. So, Miss Mama, you did not complete your task. So, but that's what I had told you. So I think for me, figuratively, it was easier for me to build trust and understand the person that I was speaking as, because figuratively, I have a turban. So when the turban was on, it's Patrick Star mode. When the turban is off, it's like, we're very I'm the down ass bitch Patrick Star. So I feel like that comes in quick. When I have the big circle turban on top and the lashes and I'm in a corset and everything, I am Patrick motherfucking Star. If I'm just in my low turban, casual, in my Forever 21 bodysuit for the 20th time for today, like, I'm just casual Patrick Star, and we're just going to have a good old jolly time. But I feel like my team has learned who is going to be speaking at that time, especially during working hours too. And I feel like my schedule is pretty aligned. And every morning I get a text from, right now, 3 people in one group chat. So it's 3 plus me. So 4 people going, this is what you have today. This is what we need to follow up. This is what we're doing. These are the 5 questions that I need. And it's like clockwork. But also with me, they keep me accountable too, in terms of the expectations that I have set for them. So the saying is true: more money, more problems, more expectations, more questions, more answers, all of the above. What are you with Live Tinted launching now? Like, what's new?
Well, okay. One thing I will say, by the way, I'm so impressed with how many products you've been able to put into the world. Like, that blows my mind, because I know how much goes into it. I know how hard it is, and all the supply chain issues and all the things. Like, so I am so impressed. Impressed. For me, I will say that I was still figuring out what I wanted Live Tinted to be. And so we have taken our sweet old time with what products we put into the world, because I was so fixated on not just being a brand who launched another something into the world without there being a purpose behind it. And I was obsessing over that it took me longer to actually figure out what I wanted the pipeline to be. And I also, really did want the community to help inform these decisions. And they did, right? For like so many of our products. And now I finally feel like I have the confidence and the vision and what it is that I see us doing and what I see us being. We launched into Ulta very recently, and it was a really big deal. We're the first South Asian makeup brand to ever be launched into Ulta. And I'm so proud of that.
Congratulations. So sickening.
It is really something I'm proud of, but I will say, like, we're in a shelf that's like, you have to go in and ask for us. It's not like you're going to find us and right away. And the only way that's going to change is if we prove that we sell and the community comes through, which they are, by the way, they are. But it is this very interesting thing I'm learning with retailers that like you can easily get lost in their stores. And if you're not a priority for them, it's still always going to be up to the brand to drive people into those retailers. But I'm still proud. We're doing what we can do and we're growing slowly and steadily. And I'm hiring, and we just closed our fundraising. And so everything 3 years, it took 3 years, right, for me to feel very confident and saying, I have senior hires now, a VP. We just hired 2 more directors. We're hiring 2 more directors by the end of the year. And I'm very proud. Now, as far as the product pipeline goes, I finally have figured it out. So that means for 2023, we're going to have like a boom, boom, boom situation, you know, but for 2022, I have a few products launching. It's okay because I'm excited, like I told you, about the other stuff too, like the Holy Party, even bigger, the Volley Party, and doing events and creating these community connections. That's not just about the products. So this month, we just launched our very first skincare product, which is the Hustix skincare, I guess, duo partner, and it's called Super Hue. And it's a serum stick that is specifically created for hyperpigmentation and dark circles. And this was literally the number one question we got asked. It was like, I love the Hue stick. It's a great color corrector. It's great for the makeup aspect, but what about something that's actually helping reduce the actual skin hyperpigmentation? And it took us years to develop it. Also, I always die. I think you posted this when people say like, we've been doing this for 2 years. And like everyone is out here being like, I took 2 years to launch this brand, but it really took me 2 years to develop this because,
Yes.
you know, like a skincare product, like we did clinicals, we worked with a dermatologist. Like you don't just go into skincare unless you take it seriously or you will royally get screwed over. And so, you know, it has active ingredients, like multiple percentages of like niacinamide, bakuchiol, vitamin C. And so it's a serious skincare product. I'm really proud of it. The before and afters are insane. Yeah, I think it goes back to like us creating products that are problem solution oriented for people of color. And I just want to create like a whole hyperpigmentation solution across makeup and skincare. And so I'm nervous because it's our first real big girl step into skincare, but I think the community will come through.
I love it. And where can they find the Super Hue?
ultabeauty.com and livetinted.com.
I love it. I love it. It's so crazy for anyone listening and you want to start a beauty brand. Like in order to get like the official claims, clinical claims, like this made your skin 1,000 bajillion% brighter, you have to add testing to your timeline. So let's say I want to launch something. It's January now. You have the product time. You have to create the boxes. You have to create like the actual formula. You have to get the packaging people to meet the formula people to then fill it if it's not done in the same place. Then they got to ship it to each other or ship to me. And then we got to put it in the warehouse. Then we got to unbox it. Oh, but then we have to add the clinicals. So we have to like print those things and make sure they pass. But you also have to pay for all of these things to get tested. And that's just not consumer claims. So clinical claims are more like scientific, like actual claims. And then consumer claims are very like, do 90% of people say that it made their skin nicer, then that's more of a consumer claim. But in order to make it into packaging, we have to like send it to our lawyers to make sure we're okay in case someone actually sues us. Because if we say it and it doesn't do what it does or it irritates something, just know that there's a lot of work and a lot of money and time that goes into every single brand like Live Tinted and other amazing brands that have to make it. So we create good stuff for, all the consumers buying.
But again, I wanted to do it different. I didn't want to just be put into a category of just makeup and like, let's talk and everything you said, SPF. We did a mineral SPF that doesn't create any white cast on people's skin. Again, from an emotional perspective, I thought that was really important to me that we changed that narrative for people growing up who had to put white on their face and it just looked like a ghost. The actual trials don't start until it's in the final tube. And then for 6 months, it has to sit in that tube and make sure stability is good for anyone to approve that SPF, which is great because SPF is a serious thing and it needs to be taken seriously. But it was very expensive for a young brand to do this. And luckily it's paying off and people are loving it. But my point is like, people just don't know like the work.
Yeah, but I think that through the power of social media and us, transcending the space of influencer to founders, it's possible. And I feel like we are the people to let everyone know what's out there, So Deepica ran so you all could walk,
So did you. We're all out here trying to, just do better. And we're out here doing a marathon. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, it's cool, and I hope everyone can take a little bit of inspiration from you in terms of like building family, or from me finding a family on the internet that can support you, because you've literally done that and have built a brand, a beauty brand, Live Tinted, to really transcend just beautiful products, purpose, but meaningful purpose. And I'm so excited to see everything else that you're to come out with and also build with your brand. So amazing.
Thank you. And thanks for having me and supporting. Truly, like, I mean what I said. You can't find a lot of good people in this industry, but you also get some bad ones. And I feel like I'm so lucky to met you, and early day support till now. It means the world.
Thank you. Well, really quick, we have a segment called Doing the Most. 4 questions, rapid fire. Are you ready to play?
Let's do it.
Doing the most, bitch.
Okay, who do you think is doing the most?
Oh my God. I should have known these were going to be like hot tea ones.
It could be good or bad. Anyone.
Oh, okay, good. Adele, she is doing the most right now, and I love her. I am so proud of the most that she is doing. It's so inspiring.
Love. What means the most to you?
My family.
Amazing. When were you the most messy?
High school. College, she was pretty messy too. I love being in my 30s is what I have to say.
Me too.
Don't take me back, please.
I love that. What is the most expensive thing you have?
I bought myself a Rolex watch, and it was like a moment in life and time, and I love it. And by the way, I'm not one of those people who's like, and then I'll buy another and buy another. Oh, hell no. That was like a moment, and I'm good with it.
Checkbook closed. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much, Deepica. Where can everyone find you and your brand?
You can find me at Deepica, Deepica, and Live Tinted, Livetinted, across all social. And that's the name of the websites and all the things.
Awesome. Well, be sure to check her out. Follow the amazing brand. Shop the amazing brand at Ulta and livetinted.com. Support my amazing friend. And thank you so much for shining some light and dropping gems today on the podcast, Say Yes to the Guest. Deepica, you are a success. I love you. I'm so proud of you. And I hope you take a moment to realize everything and the super hue that you are. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Say Yes to the Guest. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast and follow at Say Yes to the Guest on all social platforms. Remember, you are successful. Now go out and be the bad bitch you truly are. Can't wait to chat with you next time. Bye.